Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool, from her she shed in her beautiful backyard. This is the Michelle Moore Show.
Trophies have turned to rust. People have let me down. Who can I trust? I found earth's riches, but I lost my own worth. When I hit rock bottom, to whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall and reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you. All for you, Jesus. In you I found the greater love. You are my firm foundation, in whom I place my trust. I found heaven's when you told me my word, you alone give words of life. To whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, Jesus. This life is a vapor, just a breath away. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we all return to clay. Let my life be a drink offering. Hold me out any way that you please. Without you, Jesus, it's all for nothing. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, Jesus.
The gang's all back together. My goodness, I have missed y'all. All right, it's been a busy week. In some ways, it feels like we've been gone like a month. It's crazy. I was talking with my kids about it last night, and we all felt like it. We'd been like together for more than a week. It's sometimes time flies so fast, and then sometimes it's like, wow, we really had some time together. Gloria on YouTube says it's an honor to be with you, Michelle, in Jesus. It's an honor to be with you, sweetheart. I saw where one of our viewers said the gang's all back together. Praise Jesus, we're back together. I love it. Well, we got Mark Taylor with us. Lieutenant Mark Taylor is here with us today. We got a lot to cover. There's been a lot going on while we were away on our fall break, having a little bit of family time. And so let's go on ahead and bring Lieutenant Mark Taylor in. Let's get started. We got a lot going on here. And so, hello, Lieutenant Mark Taylor.
Hi, thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on the show. I'm not used to being brought in this fast. I mean, I'm usually sitting back here, waiting a little bit, but this is kind of nice. I kind of like it.
Okay, just so everybody knows, Mark and I do a little bit of prep work for about an hour prior to today's show, and he's been sassy. So just know he's in a mood today, and there's no telling what it's going to be like. And so you've been cracking me up. All right, well, let's go on ahead and get started. I have to chuckle sometimes because I come across different things, and it's always something. There'll be a few things today people will see it and laugh, but there are times where you've been telling us something for months, and then something comes up, and then sure enough, here we go. And so we're going to start with the first one that you've been saying. What have you been saying about, there's only going to be so much time before the people take the matters into their own hands?
Right. So that was a prophetic warning I gave like 4 or 5 years ago that if White Hats and Trump drag their feet and take too long, that the Patriots were going to get involved. They would drag these politicians out of their homes and their offices, drag their bodies through the streets, and they would finish the job that the White Hats should have finished a long time ago. And so now what we have is the president coming out and actually admitting some of this, and we'll hear it right here on the video.
All right, let's watch.
Roof. Who do you hold responsible for the uptick in left-wing violence in the country?
Radical left rhetoric. The radical left is causing the problem. They're out of control. They're saying things, and they're really dumb people. I mean, I look at Crockett. I look at some of these people. They're very low IQ people, actually. But the radical left is causing this problem, not the right. The radical left. And it's going to get worse, and ultimately it's going to go back on them. I mean, bad things happen when they play these games. And I'll give you a little clue. The right is a lot tougher than the left. But the right's not doing this. They're not doing it, and they better not get them energized because it won't be good for the left. And I don't want to see that happen either. I'm the president of all the people. But the radical left is causing this. Radical left Democrats are causing this problem. And it gets worse. It gets worse, and it'll be a point where other people won't take it anymore, and that will not be good for the radical left, and we don't want that.
So see, he says there it'll get worse, and he says it will not be good for the left. So is this what they're really waiting for? See, this is where I've been saying that this is a double-edged sword with the Patriots right now. Everybody thinks, well, we should be taking to the streets like in England and all these other countries that are doing this, France. Well, we have something here called the Second Amendment. We're going to talk more about the Second Amendment later. But that's the reason why we have been so holding back, if you will, because they know that if we get a crowd of 1 million people, all it's going to take is one of these, schmucks off the left over here to crack off a shot, and that's going to be it. And so there it starts. And we don't want that in this country. We've been saying this, and we've been saying it over and over again. Because if the bloodshed starts in here, we have the largest army on the planet because of our Second Amendment. And if the bloodshed starts here, it'll be like nothing we've ever seen before. And they're going to wish to God they would have acted a whole lot earlier. So what? Now, the president's admitting this. Now, my question to the president is, what are we going to do to stop this? Because if that happens, we're going to lose innocent men, women, and kids in all of this. So what are we going to do to stop this? And we're going to talk some more about why we're being delayed with some of this stuff, because it seems to me that other countries are more of a priority than America is. We've lost our way as far as the America First agenda is concerned.
I've noticed also many people saying, what happened to America first?
That's right.
Do you think though that with all the stuff going on with the tariffs and different things, I'm wondering, I've been a little bit, well, maybe there were some really good things getting ready to break through that we just don't know yet, and it takes time. Do you think that's going on?
I think some of that is going on with the tariffs, this, that, and the other, because again, we have not seen gas prices come down. We have not seen grocery prices come down, even though he's bragging they are. All you have to do is there's a lot of TDS going on right now. I've been getting hammered on social media because I'm calling some of this stuff out. Taylor derangement syndrome is what that's called. And so it's a coordinated attack on social media against me, I believe, of religious and legalistic spirits. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at the comments, everyone from all over the country was commenting saying, no, gas prices are not coming down. Food prices are not coming down. They're actually going up in some areas. Is it going to take time for the tariffs to kick in and lower some of these prices? Yeah, sure it is. But the fact of the matter is, what does really have that to do with national security? It does and it doesn't. It's more of an economic front. We are looking at a national security issue here where the patriots get involved and take matters into their own hands, which is what we do not want. So why is it that every other country on this planet, because the Nobel Peace Prize that we're trying to go for here, is taking a priority over what's happening in America? Now, he just deployed troops to Oregon, I believe the Portland in it. So we're moving from Washington, D.C. Well, where was the second place we put some troops in? Somewhere
Illinois?
in Tennessee?
Chicago?
Tennessee. It was Memphis, wasn't it?
Oh,
Memphis?
yes.
So Memphis, and now we're slowly moving over into Oregon. Why are we dragging our feet? At what point do we declare the Insurrection Act and be done with this and clean this mess up? That's the problem.
We need to send some people to Michigan. We'll see about that in a minute.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Where are we with going into Chicago, Illinois? I've been out of some of this in the last
I haven't
week.
heard anything about Chicago, and so that's another thing. So there was like, what was there, 15 or 19 cities, I can't remember, that were on a list that they were supposed to deploy
17.
to. 17?
17.
So they were supposed to deploy to. We got 3.
Yeah.
At this rate, it's going to be 2050 before we clean this country up.
Yeah. It's scary when you see Portland, or is it Portland, Oregon, where it's just fallen.
That's the Antifa headquarters, I believe. That is where their headquarters pretty much.
That makes sense.
Where they own that place. But see, we have entire cities that have been taken over by certain groups. We're going to talk about some of those groups here in a minute. But Antifa, especially, they pretty much own Portland and control Portland right now.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. But it's scary when you see what's going on in the streets there. And it's been going on for 5 years at least.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what are they putting in the water there? It's got to be more than fluoride. I'm just saying.
Well, but here we have to understand. We go back to what Gina Phillips was talking about years ago. She said that there was an MK Ultra army that was going to be released on the streets. We're already seeing it come to pass. That is Antifa. That's Black Lives Matter. That's all these people you see in the purple hair, covered with ink and all this stuff, right? So those are your MK Ultra programmed individuals who are paid agitators, according to President Trump, but they're actually MK Ultra programmed, is what this is.
Yeah, he can't say that, so he just calls them paid agitators. And hey, in some ways they probably are paid as well in some instances.
Oh, sure, yeah, right, they are.
Okay, so the second video we have to start out with before we get into all the Charlie Kirk stuff and Erica Kirk, because that people want to know, are we going to cover that? Of course we are. Too much going on there, so we'll get to that in a minute. But first, Susie Wiles, y'all been listening to Mark again. I saw this video and said, we're definitely showing this at the beginning of the show, because what has Mark been saying? He's been telling us about Susie Wiles, who's got the president's ear, who is the gatekeeper. And so who is Susie Wiles? We've been showing you videos for a couple months now. And so here is yet another video talking about Susie. Let's listen.
Going back to what I was telling you before the break, John Ratcliffe, when he was isolated with Donald Trump to basically feed Donald Trump Mossad talking points, including about phony, fabricated WMD propaganda about the Houthis about to get a nuclear weapon from Iran if he didn't strike. He was isolated by Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. And who is Susie Wiles? Subsequent to my report at the Gray Zone citing a inside White House source, a Trump official, we learned that Susie Wiles had actually went to Israel to work for Benjamin Netanyahu on his 2020 re-election campaign. How crazy is that? America first, and your chief of staff literally worked for a foreign leader? What's going on here? I mean, that's what we're unmasking, is the biggest foreign influence infiltration operation in American history that is basically taking control of an administration that says it's America first and is taking us to a very dangerous place. And everybody's concerned about it, including on the left, on the right, and we're also concerned about where we're being taken in this country.
Okay, so Mark.
Incredible. I mean, here it is starting to really come out about this lady and who she's been involved with and the infiltration that has taken place. Now you understand why he even said that she sealed him off. Period. And that's what the prophetic words I have in here talk about, the gatekeepers. And so there's talk about having the king's ear. Well, she has the king's ear. Nobody's going to get to him through her. But we're also going to look at that from a spiritual perspective. Another gatekeeper here in a minute.
Yes.
But Susie Wiles is on a demonic level that I have been calling out, and here comes the TDS, Taylor Derangement Syndrome. Everybody attacks me for saying it. It's like there's nothing I can do about it, guys. This is what God's showing me. She is the head gatekeeper that keeps him secluded and keeps information from getting to him so that he cannot make an informed decision. Now we understand a little bit more about why are we seeing Israel taking more of a priority than America. What happened to America first?
So you think that some of that has to do with Susie? Obviously, from the video that we just listened to, this information, we know that she's got all kinds of connections. The same thing with Pam Blondie.
Listen, don't think for 1 second. We were talking about MK Ultra here. Don't think for 1 second that some of those people in his administration are not programmed. Programmed to infiltrate, programmed to do certain things. I'm not saying who they are. You can figure out who they are.
56 Pontiac says, I almost spit when Mark said TDS, Taylor Derangement Syndrome, and said, woo, Miss Michelle, he is sassy today.
That could be good or bad, depending on who you talk to, right?
I told you. He's been cracking me up for the last hour and 20 minutes. All right. Deborah on YouTube says gas in Fort Smith, Arkansas is $2.45. Joe says, I didn't go to school for history and politics for no reason. Sandy says, I just watched military on the streets in Chicago. Okay, that's what I was wondering. And saw where someone said there's 500. Susan says that in Chicago. So they are. I was wondering about that. I'm glad you're calling it out, Mark. Charles says prices are not going down. They have gone up even more. I love Trump, but someone is giving him bad information.
Can you say Susie Wiles?
And Joe says, I guarantee you the Mormon church incident in Michigan has Islam written all over it. I know far too much to know better. And then Eva says, honestly, I think Donald Trump is a lot smarter than you think. He said he doesn't trust anybody. He doesn't trust anybody, and that may be true. Silver is at $47, Kevin said. Yeah. Playtime is over, Wendy said. So this is very interesting. Okay, so I want to go on ahead and show an image that talks about this Tyler Robinson's case number. And so let's take a look. If you add up all the digits, guess what it equals in the case number? So 700905884. When you add those digits up, you get 33. And so I had done an X post that I guess it was about 2 weeks ago where I was talking about all the numbers 33. We've showed even last week when we did the show, I guess 2 weeks ago, we showed about Kash Patel, we've all seen it, where he says 36 hours. And then he says, no, it was 33 to be exact. And so there's been a lot of 33 stuff going on. This is just another thing. And so wanted to point that out. And then there is a video that we wanted to show you today talking about Stu Peters. We're going to talk a little bit about Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk and their parents. So this is going to kind of start that by, let's take a look at this first video with Stu Peters and a guest of his discussing Erica Kirk's mother and father. Let's take a look.
Erica Kirk's father is involved with Raytheon Israel. Is that what you're saying?
From what I understand, Erica Kirk's father formed Raytheon Israel's division and was the former chairperson / president. I believe he's retired now, but he was actively involved. Apparently, they didn't meet. Erica didn't say they met, but she said that she saw him. She was on a pilgrimage with her mom, and she saw Charlie, and she was like, wow, I want to get to know that guy. And then apparently they met down the road, And as a millionaire, because she owned a clothing line and she also was part of this this Romanian like child safety rescue operation. I don't know exactly what it was specifically, but then she decided that she wanted to apply for a job at Turning Point. Her mom, AZ Tech, her dad, AZ Tech International. She's actually on video probably 5-6 years ago admitting that they moved to Arizona because her mom was working with Homeland Security and the Department of Defense. And her dad apparently was the former chairperson of Raytheon's Israeli division. So there's just a lot of things going
so
on
Raytheon does have Raytheon Israel Ltd, which is responsible for working with the United States government and the American-based Lockheed and Raytheon in developing these missile defense systems, including the Iron Dome. So Raytheon literally does have Raytheon Israel Ltd, and you're saying that A to Z Tech is involved with this? So Erica Kirk's father is involved with Raytheon Israel? Is that what you're saying?
From what I understand, Erica Kirk's father formed Raytheon Israel's division and was the former chairperson / president. I believe he's retired now, but he was actively involved in that particular operation. From what I understand, also Charlie Kirk's dad, and keep in mind, Erica Kirk, she won a pageant that Trump owned in 2012.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember when Trump said that
she's a model? She was procured for modeling by Donald Trump.
Most likely. Yeah. And Charlie Kirk's dad was the lead architect on Trump Tower in New York.
Erica Kirk was involved with the Miss Arizona. Wasn't she a pageant winner herself?
Yeah,
and then she was a romance actor, and not just a romance actress, but a reality TV show romance actress. So people believe that this stuff is actually real. And now she's taken the reins as the CEO.
And he's preaching, start a family, right? Have kids. Don't watch porn.
Forget about college.
Save your money. Don't go to college. If he's not supporting Gaza, he wants AIPAC to be a lobby like JFK wanted. He doesn't want to go to war with Iran. Then he has lost all of his value.
All right. So, Mark, okay. Connections to Mossad, Lockheed Martin. Anytime I hear Lockheed Martin, I always think about MK Ultra. Right. Raytheon, you got Israel. It's just crazy.
Well, again, you don't know this stuff till you start digging into it. Now, I know, I'm not a Stu Peters kind of guy. I don't listen to his stuff. I don't know who that guy was that was talking. But, again, there's been a lot of this stuff flying around. We know something's not right. We know that they're lying to us about the assassination. It's probably a PSYOP or a military operation, or some people are saying he's alive. Nobody can prove anything. We talked about the gun that was used was supposed to be a 30-06. I know from hunting with a 30-06 my entire pretty much adult life that there's no way that was a 30-06 he was hit with, because it would have taken pretty much half the side of his head off. Even with hitting the neck, it would have taken half of his neck out. So the fact is, we're being lied to by the FBI, Kash Patel, shocker. They've lied to us about Epstein. They've lied to us about pretty much everything right now at this point. And we're going to go into some more of that stuff, as we go along here in the show. But, again, nobody can prove anything. That's the problem. We've created an atmosphere of distrust, even with this administration. Nobody trusts anything coming out of these guys' mouths right now. Nobody. And we're going to prove some more of that as we go along here. So,
but that's the part, Mark, that drives me crazy. It's like, we're all adults here. Right. And you hear people go, well, it's a PSYOP, or someone else says, well, it's a movie, or it's a military operation.
No, it's a horror movie.
Well, but the point is, everybody acts like this is normal behavior, and it's like,
no, it's not.
This is insanity. No matter which it is, it's insanity.
Let me give you the definition of what this is. And people are going to get mad at me for this. I really don't care. This is what's called witchcraft. It is manipulation. It is lies. All in the name of military operations or PSYOPs. Either way you want to look at it, it is witchcraft on the American people instead of coming out with the truth. Anyone who's awake at this point has already awakened. You're not going to awaken a whole lot more people in this than we got already. So it's time to act. We had to wake up with the truth. Why don't the other guys have to wake up with the truth? Drop the truth and let the truth do the work.
Well, I think that's a lie. I think that's a lie. I think it's a whole thing too, a part of it where they're like, well, we got to have the majority. We got to have 80% out. We were told that they're 80%. Yeah, we were told that 80% was reached 2 years ago.
Right.
And so what happened there? And so to me, I'm just not buying any of it. I don't care what it is.
And let me quash this before it comes up, because people are going to say, well, it's God's timing. I'm sick of hearing it. And I'll tell you why. It's because I've heard from 2 different sources that they've heard Trump bragging about the fact he can pull the trigger on this anytime he wants. If that is true, that is not God's timing. That is man's timing. So let's get that straight right now.
This is why I really only, for the most part, talk about these things on Mondays with you, because it can just, I think, steal people's joy.
Right.
And if you just keep going down, you got to go down the rabbit hole. I think that's not really necessary. I think it's just a big distraction from walking in the purposes and the plans for which you were created. You know what I mean?
And let me talk about Trump's plans, what he was created for, because we talked about this on ATKN, and we don't have time to play it today because it was about a 4-minute video. We played a beautiful video about Trump's Bible and President Trump and how his family in the Hebrides had started a revival over there. Now, the big takeaway with this whole thing was the fact that in the Hebrides, the revival didn't start in a church. It started in a home. That is the ecclesia of God, not an institutionalized religion. Now, Trump sat up there at Charlie Kirk's funeral, whatever it was, and he said, we need to bring religion back to America. No, we don't, sir.
No.
I respectfully disagree. We don't want religion. God does not like religion. This is about relationship. No one comes to the Father except through me, Jesus said. He is the way, the truth, and the life. So notice he said truth. Not a whole lot of that going on right now.
Nope.
And so we don't want religion in America. This is a false revival that's taking place. You're seeing people like Lance Wallnau, all these guys come out of the woodwork right now to jump on the bandwagon, the marketing bandwagon for this revival. I warned about this when the college campuses were going through revival 2 or 3 years ago. I said, watch what these guys do. Lance Wallnau came out. He was trying to push his movie, market his movie, and had 2 movies coming out, his and Greg Locke's movie. Greg Locke pulled in with a bus full of nothing but marketing material for his movie. And the college campus, I said, watch these guys come in and try to hijack this thing. And I said, and then the college campuses had to come out and issue a statement saying, please stay away. This is for the college people only.
I remember.
So that's exactly what's going on here. You're going to see a false, fake, and phony revival here if we're not careful, because it's going to usher it in through the false church, which is the church, the institutionalized church system. So you see these pit vipers out there right now already trying to capitalize on this because they see it as a marketing moment. This is not through the church system or religion. Religion is inclusive. It includes everyone. In other words, Satanism, Luciferianism, homosexuality. It includes Islam, Christianity, patriotism, New Age. That's religion. Relationship is exclusive. Period. It's Jesus and Jesus alone. And that's the part he's got to get straight because, and by the way, where was his spiritual advisor at Charlie Kirk's funeral? Paula White. Well, that's right. She wasn't there.
Yeah.
One of the most supposedly spiritual moments in America right there. And she was nowhere to be found. She was MIA.
She didn't speak. She wasn't there.
Yeah, we're going to show some more about her in a minute anyway.
Okay. So let's listen to a lady who says that she was an extra on a movie and the details with that. Let's take a listen.
You all about a coincidence, and you all tell me if it's as wild as I think it is. Back in the 90s, when I was in high school, I was an extra on a couple of films, and one in particular was Snake Eyes, a film that starred Nicolas Cage. And do you want to know where I was an extra on that film? At the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Okay? Do you want to know the plot of that movie? It involves an assassination of a politician named Charlie Kirkland. He was shot. The name of the person who shot Charlie Kirkland was named Lincoln Tyler. The tagline for the movie Snake Eyes: believe everything except your eyes. Does anyone else find that odd.
You can't make this stuff up. I mean, you really can't.
It's such as I don't know if it's a psyop, a military operation. I don't know if it's a good thing, a bad thing. I don't really, at the end of the day, care.
Yeah,
All I
I'm done with it.
know is that I just want the truth. And at the end of the day, too, here's how I feel like the Holy Spirit really talked to me about a year ago and showed me, at the end of the day, does this put food on your viewer's table?
Nope.
That's why I said I only talk about these things usually with you, and a lot of it has to do with the spiritual ramifications and what's really going on. It's
Right.
important we go through these things because a lot of what is going on in the spirit manifests in the natural, like Mark has been teaching us. And so, for over a decade now. So that's why we talk about these things. And we're going to talk about some things in a minute. And we're going to talk about what they mean in the spirit realm. So to teach you, to help you know how to see these things and what's really going on in the spirit realm. And so it's so it's just in so many ways. It's like I didn't even watch the Erica, the whole thing that they did and Trump and all that. I've seen enough stuff about it, but I didn't even watch it. I just can't with that stuff, and I don't know. People say, well, how do you not get so down and distraught over everything going on? I'm like, I think a lot of this has to do with just God's grace. And so I just tell people, do not let yourself get weary. Don't let your heart get, troubled, and you have to keep your eyes on Jesus and keep things in perspective. We're not going to know. And I said this the last show, I said, where I believe we're never going to know what really happened. Do we really know what happened with JFK? When in that assassination,
No.
do we really know what happened with Martin Luther King Jr.? Do we really know?
Right.
What about Junior, JFK Jr.? I mean, we got a guy going around right now saying he's really the real JFK Jr. and that the other guy was known as John. And I mean, because David Quigley says he's the real one. So there's so much confusion. And who's the author of confusion?
Right.
So at the end of the day, Jesus is not in any of this stuff, in a lot of it. But there are some spiritual things going on. And that's why these shows are so important with you, because we've got to explain what's, some of the real world things we see, what they mean in, from a spiritual perspective. But is this stuff so frustrating? And like listening to this woman, and then, okay, what about the fact that she's talking about Trump? Trump is intertwined through the decades with this stuff. That's troubling.
Well, look, and people want to talk about the Trump. They want to talk about the administration's doing this, the administration's doing that. What you don't hear them saying is Trump's doing this or Trump's doing that. Guys, Trump is the administration. Everything starts and stops with him, and nobody wants to say the name. They just want to say the administration. Let me tell you something about this administration. This is not the administration that God had in mind, and I can prove that in these prophetic words. God said He was assembling the dream team. This is not it. What we're seeing taking place is not it. Why? Jesus talked about building your house on the rock in Matthew. He talked about those that build it on the sand, and when the storms came and blew, it couldn't withstand the storm. What are we in now? We're in the storm, guys. What was this White House built upon? It's the people's house, the White House. It was built upon the sand. How do I know that, guys? Because you've got Hindus, you've got gays, you've got supposedly Christians, you've got all these different people that are occupying the administration. That house, the people's house, was not built on the rock, who is Jesus Christ, not religion, because he's talking about religion. It was built on the sand. So will that house stand? Chances are it may not, guys, when the storms comes.
What have I been saying, Mark, for months now? I've been saying every time I look on my TV or whatever, I don't see a single person who represents the ecclesia, the remnant, me. I don't see a single my viewers. I don't see anybody representing us. And so that's exactly in line with what you're talking about right now. That's such a great way to connect that.
You cannot build a house on sinking sand like this and expect it to thrive. It's not going to happen. What I see happening with President Trump right now, as much as I love and respect him, what I see happening right now, he is being held captive. Let me say that again. He's being held captive spiritually through high-level witchcraft and spells, if you will. He's under a high-level witchcraft spell because he's not listening. Now, he says he's listening to some things, but the problem is your actions speak louder than words. Just like we have with these other countries that are taking priority over America. What happened to the America First agenda? So, again, that's what I see happening right now, because, again, you've got Susie Wiles, who's the main gatekeeper. You've got Paula White, who is the spiritual gatekeeper. No true prophet of the living God will ever reach the king's ear as long as she is there. That's what she's there for, is to stop the truth from getting to Trump and to influence him. And we're going to show that here in a minute.
Let's go on ahead and play that, producer Ron, even though it's out of order from what I was planning. The Paula White video. Let's take a look at that, and then Mark, you can explain what everybody's hearing that she says after.
18 years ago, let me just bring you up to speed there. 18 years ago, then Mr. Trump was watching Christian television, and he'd watched 3 of my sermons on value of vision. And I get this call, and they said, Mr. Trump's on the line. I'm like, yeah, sure. And I probably would have said, you're fired if I was watching The Princess, right? And we're having fun. They said, no, Trump's on the line. And I'm like, yeah. And they said, for real, Pastor Paula. So finally I get on the line. And he said, you're fantastic. You have the it factor. I said, well, we call that the anointing, sir. The second time I walk in and I said, sir, and we kind of laugh about this now. I said, sir, I said, with all due respect, I don't want your money. I have enough of my own. I said, I don't want your fame. I said, I have enough of my own. I said, I want your soul. And I just walked out.
Okay.
Did you hear what this woman just said? What this Jezebel just said?
Mm-hmm.
No true man or woman of God would ever utter those words to another human being. You know why? Because that wasn't her speaking. That was Satan himself. That was a power or principality that was operating through her, saying, I want your soul. She didn't say Jesus wants your soul. She said, I want your soul. She also gave you the order that she had to do things, certain things, in order to be an influence to the president. She said, I don't want your fame. I've already got it. I don't want your money. I already got it. She said, what I want is your soul. That put her in line to be able to utter those words and capture him spiritually, literally spiritually. This is the spell that he's under right now. He's being controlled and influenced spiritually.
Okay. All right. Nick,
and by the way, the it factor is not the anointing. That's a lie from the pits of hell. The it factor is a worldly, what do you want to call it? A description of what's going on, because he's used to being on The Apprentice. He prides himself on finding talent. See, here we go again with the talent. I said that was his Achilles heel. I've been saying this for years. That's his Achilles heel, is looking for talent, well polished, well spoken, well dressed, instead of looking for the anointing. See, she's classifying the it factor, which is a worldly term, as the anointing. That's what they want you to believe. It's not.
Do y'all see why we cover this now on the show, these kinds of things? So that way you don't fall prey to some of these lies, like he said, the lies from the pits of hell. Okay, Nick Fuentes, let's listen to, he's saying some of the quiet stuff out loud. Let's take a listen.
It's like, lady, didn't your husband just get his face blown off like 2 seconds ago? And not to be insensitive about it, but everyone's thinking it. No one wants to be the asshole. No one wants to say it. Everyone's thinking it. Everyone was thinking it when she gave the first speech. Everyone was definitely thinking it at the memorial. Nobody wants to say it because it's inappropriate. It's insensitive. I am the troll, right? So I'll be the one to say it. I think it's super inappropriate. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's weird. It's bizarre. Something is off there, and I don't like it. But they're doing the Super Bowl commentators with the headsets on, doing a media table. They're selling merch, registering voters. They got pyrotechnics. Is this WrestleMania or is this a funeral? Like, what are we doing here? And then, the day after the funeral, I'm getting 500 texts and emails. Erica Kirk here. I miss him. Every time I blink, every beat of my heart. Make sure to donate $5, $15, $25. It's like, okay. Then they're doing a show. Did you see the show today? And so prescient. I said it last night. I said, I'm getting like a fake vibe. I'm not, something's off there. And people say, well, everybody grieves differently. Yeah, I don't know how much mileage we can get out of that one anymore. Something's not right there. Very bizarre, weird vibe there. And did you see the show? Erica hosted the Charlie Kirk show this afternoon, and she's like, she looks like she's over the moon. She's happy as a clam. And again, who am I to judge? Everybody grieves differently. She's a very devout Christian. Some people say maybe that's just strength, that's resolve. I don't know. It's one thing if your husband dies, period. It's another thing if your husband dies at age 31, unexpectedly. It's another thing if your 31-year-old husband unexpectedly dies because he gets publicly executed with blood gushing out in front of thousands of people screaming and running away. That's like something that's altogether different.
All right. So, look, we're not Stu Peters watchers, and we're not Nick Fuentes watchers. This was something that I came across. I'm seeing some of these comments, and even a squirrel can find a net sometimes. And so I wanted to share these two videos because at the end of the day, what they're saying is true. I don't know about you, Mark, but if my husband died, no matter what the circumstances were, I would not be laughing. And I mean, you see, as he's talking, the screenshot of her, I'm sorry,
I wouldn't be having pyrotechnics on stage. I wouldn't be having all this stuff going on, flamboyancy, whatever. I mean, so again, here we go again with what's real and what's not real.
Yeah.
Look in the comments here, guys, take the information that we're giving. That's all we're saying. It's the information we're after here. Sometimes even Hillary Clinton can actually state something that is fact. It doesn't mean we endorse her. Okay.
Yeah,
we use the information, use it wisely. That's what we're saying here.
Yeah.
So, I want to go back to something real quick here. Somebody
Sure.
brought this up, and it said about Paula White. It said, and Trump chose her. At what point is this on Trump? Thank you for bringing that up. It is 100% on President
Right.
Trump. Notice she didn't call Trump. He called her. And it was the fact that she gave you the steps. She got the money. She got the fame. That put her in line and grabbed his attention. Don't think for 1 second Satan does not know how to grab your attention. She knew, and Satan himself, knew exactly how to get Trump's attention, and it worked. He fell for it. So people want to say, keep your friends close, your enemies closer. Trump knows all these people. Sorry, guys. I'm tired. I'm done and over with that mess. The fact of the matter is, he has been captured spiritually. It worked. He fell for it. Why would he choose her and put her on? See, again, you got to ask yourself, why is Jezebel controlling the White House? Well, let's talk about that for a second. You got Paula White as a spiritual advisor, female. You have Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, female. His director of national intelligence, female. His attorney general, female. All of these heads, his head of Homeland Security, female. That's 5 positions, 5, that all of these females have reign over him. Now, that's, again, another Achilles heel with him, are the females. So it has opened the door spiritually for the spirit of Jezebel to come in and reign, which is why you see all these false prophets with the religion around him, his spiritual advisors. Jezebel's at the head. All of her false prophets surround the president. His spiritual advisory board are nothing but false prophets of Baal, because they're all part of the 501c3 Baal Babylonian system with the churches. This is why you've been harping on, Michelle, why there's no ecclesia there, why there's no true prophets or prophetic people there. There's no true prophetic stream around the president right now. That's why I know he's been held captive.
First of all, Aqua Girl 7 says, I didn't smile for 6 months when my dog died, let alone a husband.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. There's just a lot of stuff going on there. Mark, also, we know people by their fruit, right?
Right.
And so where's the fruit? I mean, Paula's asking for $1,000, at Easter for people to get, a blessing.
Right.
I mean, apparently the poor don't get blessed, but so, where's the fruit?
It'll all come out. It'll all come out that even some of these people on his administration are doing their own freak offs. So you're dealing with MK Ultra, you're dealing with freak offs, you're dealing with all these different things. So at some point, this is going to make him look really, really bad when it comes out. And so, go ahead.
What about the autopsy not happening? What's your take on that with the whole Charlie Kirk?
Honestly, the whole thing with Charlie Kirk.
He's even dead.
Exactly. So, again, here we go again with the lies, the psyops. Look, we talk to a lot of people because we're on the front lines here publicly. We talk to a lot of people on social media, emails, phone, whatever the case may be. Every single person I talk to is sick and tired of the psyops, number one. Number two, they are disappointed in this president and his lack, not what he's doing. It's some of it's what he's doing. It's a lack of what he's not doing that he promised the American people that he campaigned on that he's not doing.
All right.
So he even put out that statement about the reputation and credibility being ruined, about Pam Bondi. He put out a statement about Pam Bondi that she needed to act, basically get off her butt and act, because it's ruining our reputation and credibility, because he read about 30 comments on social media. And I put out, sorry, sir, your administration's reputation and credibility is already ruined. There's no coming back from this, because they've lied to the American people too many times. People are sick and tired of it. They see right through it.
Well, but he's also saying that the Epstein stuff is a big nothing burger, and we know that's not true.
Right, exactly. So again, who's lying to the American people? People are seeing right through this, and they're seeing that he's not keeping his campaign promises. They're upset. They're frustrated. They want justice. We demand justice. We don't want justice. We demand it. Look, God put him in there for a reason. God put him in the White House to put together and assemble a dream team. Now, he slammed Pam Bondi in that statement by saying, get off your butt and do something now. Basically, you're ruining our reputation and credibility. And then it wasn't even an hour later, he puts out a statement defending her. So none of it makes sense. So it's like, here we go again with the confusion. And so, again, we have to get back to America first. He's got to get back to the roots of why God put him in. And why God put him in was to literally bring justice on the wicked, to straighten America out and bring justice on the wicked, and to help usher in relationship, not religion.
Yeah. I call religion the R word. There's the F word and there's the R word.
Right.
I don't like the word religion, period. And I cringe every time he says it, because he does talk about religion. I like the religious people. I like this. Religion. We got to get back to religion. It's like, I just cringe when people say that. And a lot of people say it, not just Trump, a lot of people in everyday life say it. And it's like, it shows me where they are with their relationship with Christ, which is not good. Oh. And so, because when you have a relationship with Christ, then you understand about religion 9 times out of 10. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Flygirl61 says, in 28 years of nursing, every person who has died at a young age without something significant like a terminal illness has had an autopsy, even if, maybe especially if, it was an obvious trauma. And there you go. Very interesting. Thank you for that perspective, Flygirl61. 28 years of nursing. I'd like to hear what she has to say on that. Let's talk about James O'Keefe. So now listen, I like to call James O'Keefe James Bohemian Grove O'Keefe because of the whistleblower we had early last year, talking about, the being at his house and seeing the invitation to the Bohemian Grove, and it says that James went. So not real warm and fuzzy about James O'Keefe. It goes back to the Nick Fuentes and
the information we're after.
It's about the information. So there's been an undercover video that has come out. And by the way, Mark, I'm not really sure where James O'Keefe even really kind of lands in some of this stuff, because he's also been seen at Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
So
I don't know. Who knows?
Let's take a listen. This is going to be about 8 minutes. Let's take a listen to this video, this undercover video. Let's listen.
It's not talked about yet, but it'll soon come out that he was a CIA informant.
He was a CIA informant.
He was a CIA. I think he's protecting a lot of other people. He's not protecting himself because there's nothing there, but he's protecting a lot of people.
Because Trump's now saying it's a hoax of the case, like a hoax or something. I mean, come on, it's not a hoax. He's been on the plane, many times. Mm-hmm. It's just he was never on the plane with the kids.
I've seen the itineraries and I've interviewed all the victims. There's never been an instance where Trump was on a plane with these kids and a rape occurred. But that can't be said for Clinton, and it can't be said for others. While the Clintons were on the plane, while Bill Clinton was on the plane, there were rapes that occurred.
Overheard at Phoenix Airport on September 8th, 2025, a senior Justice Department investigator who personally worked on the Epstein case tells all. Glenn Prager, who has reviewed Epstein itineraries and has interviewed Epstein's victims, drops a bombshell. He says that the DOJ did not want to go after Epstein because he's a CIA asset. that the evidence from his investigation confirms that Bill Clinton was present for alleged rapes on the Lolita Express and that President Trump was not present for the rapes that Glenn Prager investigated, but that he is protecting a lot of other people that were.
How about this whole Epstein thing that's like going down?
So I worked on that case. I used to interview all the victims, and my picture was 20 to 30 victims, in Palm Beach that I was interviewing and dealing with and stuff like that. And then we go ready to go to trial, and they would flip. Epstein would just pay them off, and they were just like these little kids. They pay off their family. They're all broke kids and poor families, and all. So you pay them off like anywhere from $150,000 to $500,000. Nothing in that guy's world.
Prager there describes how the victims that he interviewed were paid off by Epstein right before going to trial. Prager has worked as an investigator inside the Department of Justice for over 20 years. According to Prager's LinkedIn About page, it says that during the tenure at DOJ, Prager served as an inspector overseeing sensitive investigations involving major DOJ components, including the FBI, DEA, Bureau of Prisons, U.S. Marshal Service, ATF, and the U.S. Attorney's offices. This seems to corroborate what Prager told us. He was tasked with interviewing Epstein's rape victims and investigating flight logs. On his backpack in the airport, we spotted an embroidered FBI patch, which caught the attention of our citizen journalist.
I'll tell you this, because no, it's not talked about yet, but it'll soon come out that he was a CIA informant.
He was a CIA informant.
He wasn't a CIA.
Although many have suspected it to be the case, this is the first time a Department of Justice official has confirmed that Epstein worked for the CIA and is a foreign asset.
So DOJ was settling a case, and they were just letting him, do house arrest and they minimized his arrest. Part of that is because all the victims kept on flipping, and they didn't have anyone to go to trial with. The more importantly part is they didn't want to go after him. He's a asset for the United States and Israel for the CIA. I just know that's what he was, and that's why he was protected so long for this. And people turned a blind eye about all this garbage that he was doing in the United States. He had a lot of secrets. More about Israeli stuff than anything else. I mean, he was doing stuff for Israel and the United States. He's working for both.
Glenn Prager, the Department of Justice investigator on the Epstein case, then talks about whether President Trump was involved. Many are trying to tie Trump to Epstein, but what Glenn Prager says is that Trump wasn't present during the inappropriate sexual behavior that he was investigating. But Prager does say that Bill Clinton was, backed up by his experience interviewing the victims and reviewing the Epstein Lolita Express itineraries. Quote, "They killed the Epstein list to protect the Clintons."
But they claim that that Trump's involved in the rapes and all that stuff, and he wasn't. I mean, I've seen the agendas, I've seen the itineraries, and I've interviewed all the victims. There's never been an instance where Trump was on a plane with these kids and a rape occurred. But that can't be said for Clinton, and it can't be said for others. I remember that it was being killed because I know Clintons were on there. And
the Clintons were on there?
100%. And while the Clintons were on the plane, while Bill Clinton was on the plane, there were rapes that occurred. And that's what I'm saying. Trump, although as many flights as there were and all that kind of stuff, and on the island and all that stuff, he was never there during a single alleged rape. But that Clinton for sure. And that's where the big cover-up was.
The Department of Justice investigator inside the Trump Justice Department says that while Trump may not have been present during the crimes that Prager investigated, it is clear that Trump is, quote, protecting a lot of people.
I don't know what's new that I have never seen that he's so hesitant to now show what's going on, and releasing all these files and stuff like that. I think he's protecting a lot of other people. He's not protecting himself because there's nothing there, but he's protecting a lot of people.
The citizen journalist boarded American Airlines Flight 1634 and landed in D.C. Monday at 8 o'clock at night and proceeded to go to dinner with this man, this DOJ investigator, at a restaurant called Blue Duck Tavern. Glenn Prager dislikes the fact Trump said the Epstein scandal is a hoax, but he also says, according to the evidence from his investigation, that Trump is not covering up for himself.
Because Trump's now saying it's a hoax, it's the case like a hoax or something. Come on, you know it's not a hoax. He says a lot of stupid stuff. He's been on the plane, many times. It's just he was never on the plane with the kids. People want to tie it to him and say he's covering up for himself, but he's not.
Now, this is a very good thing for President Trump and seemingly exonerates him from many people who claim that he was doing something inappropriate himself. This dinner went on for an hour and 45 minutes as this Department of Justice investigator revealed things to a stranger that the leadership of the FBI and the Department of Justice has not. Prager revealed more information about Trump's hesitation to be fully transparent with the Epstein case, gave us some details about internal gripes against FBI Director Kash Patel from within the FBI, and he detailed a developing feud between Kash Patel and Attorney General Pam Bondi. If you'd like to see more of that conversation in the restaurant, you may subscribe to OMG and find it on our website.
Who was like the one name where you're like, oh my God?
Here he is. Hey there, is this Glenn?
Yes.
You work for the Department of Justice, correct?
No.
You don't work for the Department of Justice. You had a patch on your backpack that said FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, in the airport?
Yeah.
And you talked about how you interviewed the Epstein people, all the Epstein victims. Do you recall that conversation?
I didn't. No. No. How can I help you?
I wanted to confirm that you, in fact, did work for the department. Hang on with the phone. Let's try calling him again. Glenn?
I'm not talking to you.
Well,
I don't know who you are. I'm not talking to you.
You are.
Okay.
All right, so you get the gist of what's going on here. So again, you put that together with Susie Wiles and her connections. Who are we trying to protect? What are we trying to protect? I have no clue. So, I mean, all of this stuff's running together. This is the problem. When you run on a campaign saying you're going to release the Epstein files, you're going to release this on day one, you're going to do this on day one. How many times have we heard that from the president? How many times have we heard this from Kash Patel? How many times have we heard this from all these people? And the fact of the matter is, you can't make these kinds of campaign promises and expect people not to get angry when you don't follow through. When they voted you into office on those campaign promises. You can't sit here and say the Epstein stuff's a bunch of BS like he's been saying, because it's not. We all know that.
Do you think that there could be a possibility of the Trump that we're seeing is not the Trump that we elected back years ago?
I don't know. If it is the same person, again, or someone's being held captive spiritually and it's influencing his decisions. So he doesn't have information coming to him to make an informed decision, or he's having stuff being sent to him and he's being influenced over those decisions right now, which is why we're not seeing the America First agenda. And why we're seeing not relationship versus religion.
All right. So hospitality state, I see your comments and you're completely out of line. We speak the truth. That's the bottom line. So we're going to move on. Okay, so the next one is Kash Patel. There's a video that shares about where he's sharing his opinion on gun rights. Let's take a listen.
Okay, America, we are going to be talking about one of the most painful things that any human could ever have to endure, and that is to watch a congressional hearing. In this case, senators attempting to ask questions of FBI Director Kash Patel. Now, what we're going to focus on today to begin with is a line of questioning from Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota. The questioning starts off with this.
We have seen too much political violence in this country. We all know that. Just last week, Director, your friend Charlie Kirk was gunned down. In Minnesota, only 2 months ago, a madman took the life of my friends, Melissa and Mark Hortman. Just last month in my state, we were again shook to the core when little kids were shot down through stained glass windows. The manifesto that the shooter left behind was political, and 2 children, 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel, 10-year-old Harper Moisky were murdered, 21 other people injured, some of the kids, 18 kids, severely. We do thank the local FBI director and the local U.S. Attorney's Office for their work in both of these cases, the Hortman case and this. Do anything to stop this from happening again. So, expanded background checks, ghost gun bans, every shooting is different. Raising the minimum age to purchase an assault weapon, even if we're not going to ban them. I favor banning them, but that's one idea that's out there. We also need to tackle social media, and I really did appreciate Senator Graham's questions.
And then nearly 5 minutes into the diatribe, Senator Klobuchar finally gets to her first question, which is...
So my first question is on the assault weapon ban. Do you think that would be helpful in reducing gun deaths, Director?
Okay, and Director Patel's answer?
And whatever creativity we can use to eliminate even just one shooting, one horrific death, I am in favor of engaging with Congress fully to do. I don't have...
Okay, that is not necessarily a terrible answer. It's not a good answer, but it's not a terrible one. But the quote again was, whatever creativity we can use to eliminate even just one shooting, one horrific death, I am for engaging with Congress. Okay, that doesn't make any promises. And one would have hoped that Senator Klobuchar would have just moved on. But nope, she came back a second time.
Okay, thank you. And so, assault weapon ban. What do you think?
And the thing that's got a lot of people in the 2A community spun up is this answer here.
Senator, I think there are instances on this legislation that could prevent future attacks, but I'm not going to weigh into the creation of legislation.
Okay, now, the problem for this is multifaceted. Number one, there is absolutely no evidence to suggest that assault weapon bans, high-capacity magazine bans, really just about any form of gun control actually prevents shooting. It appears that criminals don't ever follow the laws. Shocker. So the answer is relatively naive for just that reason standing alone. But when the FBI director says that there are instances in which bans like this could prevent future shootings, that is a drum that is going to be beat on over and over and over. And Director Patel, just so you're aware, there is no political movement in America that will misinterpret words, overemphasize words, bastardize the meaning, cherry pick language, do whatever to advance their cause than those that are advancing the cause of civilian disarmament. And so as we began to watch some of these pushes for other assault weapon bans, like in Minnesota, in New Mexico, okay, where the legislature gets very creative with their legislative findings, are we likely to see language where, well, even FBI Director Kash Patel admits that these laws have the potential to minimize gun violence? Yes, we will see exactly that, okay?
You know what minimizes gun violence? Us being armed.
That's right. Another person with a good guy with a gun.
That's right.
Look, I have warned about Kash Patel.
Yes, you have.
There's a reason why God called him out in a written prophetic word. This guy is the biggest liar up there in the Trump administration, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion. He is one of the most dangerous individuals in the Trump administration right now. You see right there that he is open to a ban, and trust me, the head of the FBI is in a very powerful position to kick your door in and come confiscate your weapons if they deem it necessary, guys. So this is where it gets nasty right here. Go ahead,
Mark. But I mean, he showed us who he was years ago when he did those books with witchcraft.
Exactly. So the children's books with the witchcraft, Wicca.
Yeah.
So again, this guy has lied to the American people countless times. He's showing you his true colors right here, that he is willing to go along with a ban. And we're going to show something else here where he's willing to even go a step even farther with censorship.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that right now.
No, there are extremes on the left, and there are extremes on the right. And we collectively should tackle that. But to come here and just look at us and say we all support what's going on in the extremes is why we can't solve anything in this building. Director, let me say first, thank you for being here, and my condolences on the loss of your friend. And I'm happy to hear that you want to do more on the social media platforms. Okay, it's crazy what's going on the social media platforms. There are so many conspiracy theories on what's going on with Charlie Kirk. Israel assassinated him, right? There are conspiracy theories about your personal social life all day. It is totally rampant. Big names on the right, Candace Owens, right? Talking about how what's been released as far as the dialogue between the perpetrator and his roommate is manufactured by the FBI, manufactured by the administration. It is totally rampant, allowing foreign governments to just perpetrate these platforms, all of these bots, all of the time to weaponize Americans. You see what's going on here? This is a byproduct of all of that. What's going on in the streets is a byproduct of all of that. What's happening is you see people celebrate Luigi Mangione is a byproduct of all of that. And so if we want to do something, then we should talk about Section 230. We should talk about how we're going to make sure that we don't let foreign governments poison our children's mind. And so I will work with you on that, Director.
I'll work with you on 230 any day.
No problem. So now, that was the good part.
So we're talking about censorship here, and he's willing to work with it to censor anything talking about Israel, basically, at this point. Now, what's going on with the censorship in this country, guys? We get censored. I get censored every day. I'm losing more followers every day on Telegram. I can't get past, 28,000 followers on Truth Social. Engagements go nowhere. So, I mean, the executive order that President Trump signed over this whole thing doesn't hold any teeth whatsoever. There's no bite to it whatsoever. So we're all getting censored still out here. Nobody's gotten their X accounts back / Twitter. YouTube comes out and says, we're going to give you those accounts back. But yet we all know that's garbage.
I just have to laugh.
Yeah. So again, you got to ask yourself, what is going on here? Why are they not addressing this stuff? And again, if this FBI director is willing to go to these lengths right here, I'm telling you right now, this guy is dangerous as far as I'm concerned. And so just from a Second Amendment standpoint, we are Second Amendment 100%. And from that standpoint alone, this guy should not hold the office of FBI director.
That's right. I have to laugh. So it turns out we also have a viewer who's sassy. So ANEKON says ban forks and spoons for making people fat.
There you go. That works.
I had to share it.
Well, let me ask you this. That lady up there asking about the ban saves lives. Well, are you going to disband your armed security?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Okay. No nonsense, Netta. I don't know if you know about the story, but I'm going to share it now because I thought about it right before this video we just watched. And I went on ahead and went on to it and thought, well, maybe we'll share it in a minute. And I forgot. And now I'm seeing your comment. Okay. So back during the slowing of the spread, I heard the Holy Spirit say to me, believe people when they tell you and or show you who they are. And so that's right. No nonsense, Netta. When they tell you who they are, Cash in this case, believe them. When they show you who they are, believe them. When he writes a book about witchcraft, hello, that's all you need to know.
There's a reason why he's the wizard.
Same thing with Flynn. This is the exact same thing. He got on the stage at Hank Kunneman's church. We all know what he did and said. Yep. And so I have nothing to do with Flynn. And this is why, because I know who he is.
And who is Cash Patel? He's a Flynnian.
Yes. Good point. And so, and they're neither one are believers. Nope. And if you think they are, then you're uninformed. And so you got to go back and do your research. And yeah.
Look, I again, we go back to the 5 women. Let's go to now Cash Patel. When you look and go back to what Jesus said in Matthew, we started to show off with, you cannot build a house on sand. It's got to be built on a rock. What you have is a coven of witches, wizards, and warlocks up there right now. Homosexuality, New Age, and supposedly Christianity, but we all know better than that. So at what point is this going to fall apart? And see, there was a question here somewhere. Can I read this question right here? Is that okay?
Sure.
It says, do you believe that Mark, do you believe the rest of the prophecies will come to pass, or has Trump messed them up by choosing the wrong path? If Trump has messed them up by choosing the wrong path, then God has put enough grace or time period in there for this to come around if God's going to truly work in his life, because I believe there's something coming very devastating for the president to rock his world, to get him back in line. to get him back on the path. Because this is not the team, again, I'm going to say it again, this is not the team that was spoke about in the prophetic words that I have laying here about America's dream team. This is not it.
Yeah.
This is not it. It's not even close.
Do you think it'll happen?
I think at some point, if God rocks his world and brings him to his knees again, which I believe is coming. Now, what that is, I do not know. It is coming. And so, because the pride and the arrogance is out of control, and so he's got the wrong people around him advising him. He's not listening. The assassination attempt, he was shot in the right ear. Why was he shot in the right ear? Because the right ear is for now. The right side of the body is for now, prophetically. It's because he's listening to the wrong people now. So, yes, there is something else coming because that did not change anything with him.
What do you think about him posting? I think there was a truth this morning that I saw. I think it was this morning where he was talking about the gold that's in the Oval Office at the White House and how. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Okay, I wondered about that. Why would he be talking about the quality of the gold? And they were showing all these pieces, these ornamental kind of things that are installed.
What's really frustrating with people too, as well, is that when he's asked certain questions, he deflects now. And it's like twice now he said, have you seen the ballroom being built in the White House, when he was asked about Epstein or something else? And it's like, what is going on? It's not deflect.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because why I cringe about the whole situation is because you have so many Americans that are hurting.
Yeah.
Like you said, we talk to a lot of people.
Yep.
And I have communication with a lot of people, whether they're hurting financially or their health, all of this. And so what have I been saying for months now? What I know is that today there will be moms and dads that take their children for well visits because they don't know any better or because the school is bullying them. I had that happen where my children, one of my kids was in, I guess he was about 10, and they called me and said that if I didn't get him updated on his shots that they were going to, not let him come to school. I wish I knew now what, back then what I know now, but I didn't. And so when I think back, I just get so angry about the whole situation, but that's still going on.
Right.
And he's been in office since January. How do we reconcile that, in our minds? It's just maddening. And so the prices of food isn't down. The gas prices aren't down. This is maddening. And we've got kids going today that will go and get shots that could change their entire lives.
That's right.
How is this? And he was president for 4 years before.
Yep.
So this is maddening. And so, anyways, okay. So, again, we know people buy their fruit. Where's the fruit for this? How do you reconcile this? I know some of this takes time, but it's frustrating because we're not really seeing this moving forward in the way that it should or needs to be.
Not right now.
So it's frustrating. It's very concerning. Okay. So he also, President Trump, over the weekend had posted a medbed video. It was up for 12 hours. I didn't see the video. I know that you saw it.
Yep.
So share can you describe for those that haven't seen
basically,
the video?
it was Laura Trump and Trump talking, and it was AI based. It was a fake video. I don't know if he was trying to point to the fake AI or if he was trying to seed conscious in people, troll the big pharma with the med beds, because we all know the med beds exist. We all know the reason a lot of this stuff has been held up for the med beds is because it would put the hospitals, big pharma, insurance companies, and the supplement companies out of business overnight. Literally, it would crash the system. So, but we know this technology exists. Is he trolling them? Is he trying to drop it on the people that, hey, this does exist, but yet even though this is a fake video, be careful? I don't know. I really don't know.
I do know that what Steve Jarvis has said to me over and over, he's part of the Maha Coalition, and he's dealing with people in D.C., and he's like, Michelle, the money, the sheer volume of the money, it's not millions, it's not even billions. It's there are entities like Monsanto where it's crazy money that we can't even imagine, and crazy power. So RFK Jr. and Trump are supposedly going up against that. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's my opinion from what I'm seeing is RFK Jr. to me, they've got him on a choke collar. I think they're telling him they're holding him back, quite honestly. I think if they cut him loose, you wouldn't be seeing a lot of this garbage going on right now, but because they have to play nice, you know what I mean? Play nice.
which is what Steve Jarvis was told.
Right.
But just
No.
if somebody's watching right now and doesn't know this. So Mark knows that Steve Jarvis said to me that he received a call about a month ago, and they were like, "Can you play nice? You need to play nice. Give us some time." And so that's what Mark's referring to, is Steve was told to play nice.
This is what got us in this mess to begin with, is playing nice. Do the Democrats play nice?
No.
No, the Republicans never learn. It's time to stop playing nice. And quite honestly, Trump is playing too nice. Again, we're seeing him trying to clean the streets up. I've been watching some videos of ICE and the Border Patrol. It's like, here we go again.
Yeah.
You know, they're not out here busting heads like they should be.
You said, did you say, does the left play nice? No, they play evil.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not even not nice. They're just evil. Big difference. Okay, let's take a look at the Spirit Airlines. Do we have a video for that, Producer Ron? I see. Okay, so Spirit Airlines pilot rebuked by the air traffic controller for flying too close to Air Force One. And at the end, the air traffic controller says, "Get off the iPad." And so what is going on here? It's Spirit Airlines.
This is a massive, massive prophetic sign. I think we have a video to go with this. You want to watch the video first?
Yes, if Producer Ron has it.
New York, Air Force 1300, climbing 320.
Air Force 1, New York Center, roger.
Air Force 1, contact Boston Center, 124.52. 124.52, Air Force 1, good day. Spirit 1300, descend to flight level 330.
Descend 330, Spirit 1300.
Spirit 1300, turn 20 degrees right, vectors traffic and descent. Pay attention, Spirit 1300, turn 20 degrees right. Spirit 1300, turn 20 degrees right now. Spirit Wings 1300, turn 20 degrees right immediately.
20 degrees right, Spirit Wings 1300.
Pay attention, Delta 2951, Boston Center 134.0. Spirit 1300, traffic's off your left wing by 8 miles, 747. I'm sure you can see who it is. It's flight level 320, maintain 330. I'll keep an eye out for him. He's white and blue. Spirit 1300, Boston Center 134.0. I got to talk to you twice every time. Spirit 1300, Boston 134.0. Pay attention. Get off the iPad.
There you go.
All right, so this is one massive prophetic sign right here, guys. It goes along with everything we've been saying right here. This is basically God telling the American people what's happening right here. And so there's a group of people in the spirit who are trying to get close to President Trump. But those in control, the control tower, are telling them to veer off the path. Take a different course correction. That's what this is. And so when you look at this, I mean, to me, this is massive. It confirms every single thing we have been talking about in this program and every program before, how no one has access to the president. Those who are truly operating in his spirit cannot even get within 8 miles of the president. There's a no-fly zone around Air Force One, I'm sure. It sounds like it's about 8 miles. And so, again, those in control will not allow those in the spirit to get anywhere near the president, not within an 8-mile length. That's how powerful that prophetic sign is.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay. So let's talk about how it's been announced that the digital ID will be required in order to work in the UK. This is very interesting. Let's take a look at this video.
Today, I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
Now the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 950 points. A score in the 700s is considered good, around the 500 mark is not. For now, the number is a sort of bank credit rating, keeping track of everyone's spending habits.
I think being ranked is a good thing. A society has to have rules.
It forces us to be well behaved.
It may seem scary, but it's just like that here. We're used to it, and anyway, we don't have a choice.
But in an effort to keep all of its subjects in line, Beijing is taking the system a step further in 2020. It's aggregating data gathered by banks, private companies, and the state to rate if someone's a good or bad citizen.
By using the most data possible, the so-called big data, the system will play an important role in rebuilding a moral society.
Okay, you see how like the people like take up for having it? This reminds me of how people turned here in this country, Americans, shamed people for not getting the shot, threatened all of that, told you can't come in and get groceries, whatever it was, because they were so brainwashed so quickly. Don't think it won't happen in a heartbeat in this country. I learned a very valuable lesson. Prior to the slowing of the spread and all that, I would have said that would never have happened. And after I saw what I saw in a snap of a finger, I was like, holy cow, these people are nuts.
Yeah. So, and the one girl was saying right there, she said that, we're used to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's because it's like the frog in the skillet almost, or, it's like having an animal in a pen. You get used to it. And when you're let out of the pen, you really don't want to leave the pen because that's your security.
That's right. That's right. Great point. And so, okay. It's scary though, but don't sit back and judge them thinking, oh, look at them. They're idiots, because look at what happened here in this country over a mask, a mask.
That's right.
All right. So is the UK leading or paving the way for the Antichrist? Let's take a listen to this lady. It's kind of piggybacks on the video we just saw a little bit. Let's take a listen.
It seems as though the United Kingdom is taking lead in paving the way for the Antichrist and for the Antichrist regime. You guys, I have seen at least 3 or 4 creators come on here that are currently residing in the UK, in which they have stated that the Bible applications on their phone are no longer accessible.
No longer can we access the Bible online through the Bible Gateway. Why?
The reasoning? Because of community violation guidelines. Why would the Bible violate any community guidelines? If you do a quick Google search, Google tells you, no, the Bible is not banned in the United Kingdom. Okay? But they are inching and taking steps towards banning the Bible. The Bible warned us of this. United Kingdom is also the first country to announce that a mandatory government-officiated digital ID is required in order to work in the United Kingdom.
You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID.
If you do not have this ID, you are not allowed to work, meaning you are not allowed to have a means of living to provide for yourself and your family. It seems as though the United Kingdom is taking lead in the biblical prophecies and paving the way for the Antichrist to come into power. Let me know what you guys think.
What do you think?
Okay, so this kind of goes along with, I had someone over there, which I'm not going to name, in contact with me who was very high up in their government, tell me that you could walk in any embassy over there and you would not find a Bible in their library. You'd find everything else, but you would not find a Bible. So this is where Europe is at. Now, my question is this the same with all the embassies, including U.S. embassies all over the world? Would I walk into the libraries of these embassies? Would I find a Bible anywhere? I'll find every other book that nobody wants to read. But would you find a Bible? Probably not. So it's not just the UK, it's everywhere.
Okay, I remember during the slowing of the spread, learning that they changed online the meaning or the definition of virus. And that's when my eyes were open to how important it is that we have dictionaries and whatever else, hard copies of those books, including the Bible. So, and I think the older the book, the better. So if you can get an older dictionary, or you can get older Bibles, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay, let's take a look at the city. Some of this. Oh, well, I tell you what would DEI look like? Or what would the country look like if DEI was abolished? I saw this video and I immediately thought of Mark Taylor. Let's take a look.
head, they're still fighting with their tanks and their bombs and their bombs, and we're gone. Be your head, they are dying. What's in your
When DEI is
Yeah, that's
canceled.
the
That's
boys right there, man. Unless you're a fireman, you really can't appreciate that, because those are competitions, by the way. And what's impressive about that, they're laying that hose line out. He hooks it to the hydrant, opens the valve, and they're outrunning the water filling the hose. That's what people don't understand. So by the time they get to the end of the line right there, the water's just getting there. So unless you're a fireman, it's hard to appreciate.
Oh my goodness. Trudy Seeker on YouTube says the hubby and she did not take the shots. The children and the grandchildren did. It's sad we aren't too popular.
Yeah.
I hate to hear that. And then Deborah Baker says, don't think that your family won't turn against you during the end times, because they will. Yeah. We saw that. We saw what families, will do, and what,
COVID broke apart families. The shot broke apart families. We've all seen it with our own eyes.
Yep. Okay. So, city of Warren, Michigan blocks off roads so that the Muslims can do their midday call to prayer. Let's take a look. Okay, I have a couple questions for you. Are these people here legally?
I have no clue. This is the problem we've been talking about all show. Where is the America First agenda? We have cities that are being literally overtaken, overrun by certain people groups. It's not just Muslims. It's all different. We've got Somalians. We've got Muslims. We've got illegal aliens. We got all the Antifa. It doesn't matter who it is. And we're not focused on cleaning this mess up. This is where we're frustrated right here. You can't sit here and have entire cities being taken over by these people groups like this. This is not America. This is not what we were founded on.
I've seen this area. I've seen videos from this area for the last, 8 to 10 years. And it's just getting worse. I mean, they're blocking American streets in the United States with this stuff. I know my great-grandparents have got to be rolling over in their graves.
Yeah.
This is amazing. Just to see some of this stuff. It's just, oh my goodness. Okay, so a lady goes to a Lauren Daigle concert. Let's listen to what she has to say.
I got a group of friends together and family together, and we went to see her in Boise, Idaho. So when I go to concerts or watch any type of entertainment, or really when I go anywhere, I always pray for discernment, for protection, for wisdom, for understanding, because I want to be led in the right directions. Throughout my lifetime, I've been to many, many types of concerts, including really awful secular music when I used to listen to that stuff back in the day. But when I tell you I got an instant headache, like migraine status headache, when I walked into the concert, it was unreal. And I don't get headaches. I'm not sure what it was. I was trying to rationalize it with the noise and this and that, and I just couldn't shake it. It felt like more than a headache. It felt spiritual. So as I'm feeling this headache and I'm starting to feel this yucky feeling, my humanness is trying to rationalize it with all the things that it could be. But that feeling didn't shake the whole concert. It in fact amplified and got worse. When she started to finally sing, the Lord gave me a vision of attack, and it looked as though the entire concert hall that we were in was under attack, almost like an active pew-pew situation. And I froze in panic. And then I asked the Lord, what is this? Are you giving me a warning, or is this something happening in the spirit? And I very specifically heard the word witchcraft. Again, I was very taken aback because I always thought Lauren was a Christian artist, so I didn't know, did somebody launch an attack against us, or is this coming from her? Where is it coming from? As I prayed into it, I started praying protection over myself. Then the Lord led me to pray protection over my group, but then he led me to pray protection over every single person in the concert hall. As I looked around, I noticed that most of the younger people, I would say like teens, 20s generations, were like loving it. But everyone that was around my age or older, there were so many people that were sitting there like a, what the heck is going on look on their face. So I knew I wasn't alone. A friend of mine who often goes to concerts and these sorts of events with me had to physically leave and get away from everything. And we all felt physically sick to our stomachs. So throughout the concert, I am just praying and praying and praying and praying and still really trying to discern, asking Lord for wisdom, asking the Lord for discernment, asking for understanding about what the heck is going on. Something that the Lord brought to my mind was a post that I had seen recently from Lauren Daigle. It was something on one of her stories where she was totally hyping up Taylor Swift. And if you guys are in the know, you know about Taylor Swift and witchcraft. The other thing I noticed is throughout the concert, normally when you go to Christian concerts, they are giving so much praise to Jesus, so much praise to God for everything that God has given them, brought them through. And what I found Lauren mostly talking about was her opportunities in the industry. And again, if you know about Hollywood and the music industry.
Yep. So it's full of it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the Christian movie industry, Christian music industry. It doesn't matter. It's all been infiltrated. Every bit of it. This is all by design.
Well, I had Darlene Chapman, and she said that when she went to, she's like a Dolly Parton impersonator, but she also does some other singing and things. And Darlene was at some kind of an awards thing. I think it was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and she came on and shared some of her from the kind of inside perspective of what some of the things that go on within that industry, what she personally experienced, and it's jaw dropping. I mean, it's like a bunch of degenerates, It's just crazy.
Yep.
Okay, let's go through a couple of, by the way, too, I saw where somebody had posted in the live chat. I don't see it now. I think it was Kazadu 77 talking about how, and here we are, we can't ring the church bells. Of course, we know that has to do with healing frequencies and all of that kind of stuff. But yet we'll shut down roads. It's just insanity. At what point has, an American city fallen? And I think that's why President Trump, it'll be interesting to see if President Trump ends up sending troops into some of these areas as well.
Right.
I had a situation with my children, they're not little, they're 19 and 21. And then my 21-year-old is engaged. And so his fiance was with him. They were in Nashville in a certain area. And unbeknownst to me, they went to McDonald's to get an ice cream cone. One son wanted an ice cream cone that would be dipped in chocolate syrup, apparently. So when they tell me this story yesterday, they said that the lady could not speak English. She was Hispanic, could not speak English. And so they went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And what they ended up with was a sundae with hot fudge and a cone put on top of the vanilla ice cream.
That works. That works.
I mean, it was crazy and just crazy. So when I listened to what they were saying, this is in Nashville, Tennessee. This is the stuff that's going on.
Yep.
So I'm still paying taxes on my paycheck, plus the government getting tariffs. So they're double dipping. Great point. Aqua Girl says the National Guard trying to do it for us first, but going to get messy because it's seen as ICE raid based.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to fight back.
DG 1934. Okay, so here's my question though, with some of that. So actually, I have an image I want you to see. This is what I wanted to ask you about. Let's take a look at the image that Trump derangement syndrome. So there's been a big uproar over the last week about Tylenol. So died suddenly is an account on X, and they post a lot of truths. It's a great account to follow if you don't already. I highly recommend it. But a lot of it has to do with autism and the shot. So Amanda Littman on X somewhere has apparently said, I took my newly 1-year-old baby to her checkup this morning. Now this was on 9/26. What did I just say a little while ago about today? People will be going, mothers and fathers, not knowing, unaware, to baby checkups, being bullied or talked into or thinking they're doing the right thing by getting their kids the shots that they're scheduled to have. Okay, so I took my newly 1-year-old baby to her checkup this morning, and she got her MMR, her chicken pox, flu, and COVID shot. I don't know an adult that could take all that in one
I don't
shot.
know. It's
That's another
ridiculous.
thing. If she's feeling fussy tonight, I'll alternate Tylenol and Motrin per her doctor's recommendations. How fun that I get to ignore the president and be a good mom and good citizen instead. Okay, talk about TDS, not just Taylor derangement syndrome, but Trump too, right?
Right.
Okay, so Died Suddenly says their hatred for the Trump administration is stronger than their love for their children. It's demonic. So, Mark, when I read this, I had said to you, I sent this to you over the weekend and said, I want to read this during the show, and I want to ask you, what are your thoughts when you see things like this?
Well, I covered this on ATKN, so I want to cover this in detail here again, if you don't mind. So here's the problem with this. This is what God is showing everyone in this. Every bit of this is demonic, number one. Number two, there was a lady, we showed a video of a lady who was actually on a ventilator who overdosed on Tylenol. That was made headlines. And she was pregnant with her child. She was pregnant with her child. And here's the problem with this. And even from a firefighter or rescue standpoint, that is admitting trying to commit suicide. So as soon as she comes out of her comatose state, she needs to be arrested or Baker acted. Here in the state of Florida, we Baker Act people. If you try to commit suicide, you get arrested, which is Baker Act, and they take you off to be evaluated psychiatrically. And so she should be charged criminally, not only with attempted suicide, but attempted murder with her child. Again, I hate to say this, but sometimes people will say, well, she really doesn't even deserve to be a mom. The child should be taken from her at that point because she's trying to take her life and the baby's life, because that's 2 lives she's trying to take right there. But I'll leave that up to the people to decide. But criminal charges should be filed against these people because, again, if you're doing this out of spite, it's demonic. Yes, it's demonic. It is demonic possession that's doing this. But you are trying to commit a crime against you and that child, that unborn child. What makes that any different than an abortion at this point? Because now that she's overdosed on the Tylenol, what kind of damage has that done to the child that the child's going to have to live with for the rest of its life?
But abortion's not illegal.
Correct.
So if it's no different than abortion, then I guess I would say, why would you arrest her?
What's crazy is they say abortion, is not really killing an unborn child, but yet if she takes her life and the child's, it's a count of 2 murders.
Yeah.
So it just anyhow, there needs to be criminal charges filed on these women that are doing this, who are overdosing. It is a form of suicide by doing this, and they be sent in, literally Baker acted and sent in for psychiatric evaluation.
Yeah, well, there's certainly some issues going on with mental status.
But see, what you're seeing here is a product of the church, because these women. This is why America is burning. This is why the entire world is burning right now, because the church is combat ineffective. The church is under government. Now, I think we got a couple of things here. How much time we got left? I don't know how much time we got left here.
A few minutes.
Okay, so we got a couple of things here to show about the church. I want to cover on the church here, if that's okay. And we move into that.
Sure. I'm not sure which thing you're referring to.
The Mormon church. We've had active shooters in the last. How many active shooters have we had in the last couple of weeks? But specifically in the last 2 days, we had a guy pull in in North Carolina on the Intercoastal on a boat, 9:30 at night, opens fire on a crowd of a restaurant, killed 2 or 3 people there, 8 wounded. We've had the Mormon church was attacked. That's the one I'd like to cover if we have that.
Okay. Producer Ron, do we have that? I didn't see that video before.
Well, it wasn't a video. It was just an article, I think it was. If it's not, don't worry about it. So
he doesn't have it.
Okay, so the Mormon church basically was attacked and was set fire. I think they're still looking for people in that church right now.
Yes.
A couple of days ago, right? Or a day or so ago.
It looked rough.
Right. And so, Producer Ron, do we have the other video with the Nigerian church?
He doesn't have it. I didn't see those before.
Okay.
So
well, I had it on there. There was a Nigerian church that was burned to the ground and by Islamists, and they were worshiping the Lord in Nigeria. And so I want to point out what the 2 differences are here, guys. The Mormon church is actually judgment. And President Trump has been coming out stating there's an attack on Christianity, this, that, and the other. Yes, there is.
Yes.
However, it's also judgment, because as a Mormon church, we all know they're Freemasons. It's Masonic. Most churches are Masonic, by the way. And so as a 501c3, they're under the Baal Babylonian system, which 99% of our churches are 501c3. God's hand of protection is coming off. And so the enemy's coming in and saying, okay, guess what, guys? You guys have made your money. You've made your spirit of mammon. You've done all these things. Your money and fame, like Paula White has been talking about. Now I'm coming back for my dues, which is you. That's what the devil's saying right now. And God's saying, not a whole lot I can do about it right now because judgment starts in the house of the Lord. That's what God's hand of protection coming off the church looks like. It's judgment. Now let's flip to Nigeria here for a second. That is the true form of Christianity being attacked, because I can guarantee you they're not a 501c3. You can look at this church and tell they're not. They look like they're dirt poor. God bless them, and they're still out there worshiping the Lord. That is an attack on Christianity. That's not judgment. That's not judgment. That's just a flat-out attack right there. So there's two totally different things going on that we see around the world right now. You have third world countries right now who Christianities are getting their heads beheaded, limbs cut off. They're being killed for the sake of Jesus Christ. That is true attack on Christianity. Here in America, this is not an attack on Christianity, guys. Unless look, if it was ecclesia, I'd say, yeah, this is not ecclesia.
That's right.
There's a difference. And the problem is the president doesn't know the difference.
All right. Thank you so much for being here today, Mark. Closing thoughts before we let you go.
Okay, so closing thoughts are this. I'm seeing a lot of this in the comments. I'm seeing a lot of this on my own comments on social media, email. We need to pray for the president. We need to pray for the president. Guys, let me stop you right there. The time for prayer for the president is over. What we need is warfare. I'm going to tell you now what needs to be done. We need warfare, spiritual warfare on a level that's never been seen before to break the spell off this president and to literally dismantle the coven that he has around him right now. You need to go into battle, spiritual warfare, to remove Paula White, to remove Kash Patel, to remove Pam Bondi, to remove the blinders from the president's eyes. Prayer is not enough. We need spiritual warfare, period. We need to get together in groups. We need to get together on the phone, or whether it's a group call with Melissa, whatever the case is. Melissa has these prayer calls 3 times a week. Get on her prayer call if you need to, guys. These different prayer calls. We need warfare. We need to bind, break, loose, all these different things that you've not been taught in church that we're trying to teach you here on this program or on these different programs that we do here. It's not enough to pray, Lord, save the president, open his eyes and ears. That's not enough.
That's right.
You need to bind, break, loose, all these different things that you've been taught over the years, that God has taught you how to do these things. That's what needs to be done. Exposed and take them out, take them down. Basically, take them out of the spirit, in other words. Spiritually, remove them is what we need. Remove their influence.
All right. I'll get with Melissa on that. We'll see about that.
Yeah.
Do something. All right. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you. All right. Whew. We had a lot going on the last week while we were out on fall break, and so I'm glad that we had a chance to do that. Okay, we had a lot to cover. I wanted to show you viewer mail. So isn't this gorgeous? Look at this. I received this last night. And so look at that journal. Isn't that gorgeous? This is from Donnie M. Donnie M, thank you so much. So beautiful. So Donnie M says this is diamond art. And so you see the little bitty Jimmy things on there. This is so amazing. The detailed work. It's gorgeous. And I tell you, even the camera just doesn't hardly do justice to it. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's a gorgeous gift. Thank you so much, Donnie M. Okay. And I have not forgotten about your husband, and I pray that his Agent Orange is doing well. Okay. So I received a video from Steve Jarvis this morning. And so I wanted to play that so you can know, we did the potatoes thing. And so he's down to like less than 50 cases left, or boxes, I guess is what he was calling them, boxes of potatoes. I've gotten some of mine already, producer Ron's as well. And then we have North Carolina has an order that we put in to pay for some potatoes for them as well. And so let's take a look at the Steve Jarvis video real quick.
Hi, my name's Steve Jarvis, and we only have 50 boxes left of the triple colored potatoes. Got the Huckleberry Red Pontiac and the Yukon Gold. We only have 50 more of these boxes. This is perfect time of year. Listen, folks, when you wash potatoes and store them, it's over. They don't last. These potatoes will last 10 months. What you're going to need is a crate like this. When you get your box, you're going to open your box, pour them in this crate. You want to put this in an area where it stays between 38 and 80 degrees, not where your heating and air is on in your house. So these will keep for 10 months. You've been trying to store potatoes, and that's because you've been washing them or somebody else has, and they won't keep. We can ship these out today, Venmo, Zelle, or we can do the cash out. If you order right now, they ship out today. It's $75. The packages are averaging about 17 pounds, and support a farmer.
Okay, so wanted to share that. Also, so some people have, been saying, hey, what do I do with them if I want to have them as seed potatoes? And so how do I store them? And so that's what he was covering there in the video. Also, I received another card yesterday, and that card was from somebody who was a recipient of one of the wave watches we gave away. So I wanted to share with you about this. This is so sweet. So the recipient of one of the wave watches says, the major changes in my life, talking about while using the wave watch, says it has made a difference in my life, a huge difference in my life. The major changes in my life are with the emotions, self-worth, facing feelings of being overwhelmed with all the things that I need to do, and feeling more feeling more isolated because it's very hard to socialize now. But with the Lord and His guidance, some great tools like the Wave Watch, I feel improved. And it just says, with warmest regards. And so I just wanted to say that's such a great report from our viewer. And so that's so great. Really blessed me. Okay, so I also received, I wanted to give you a little bit of backstory, and there's a lesson in this, and I want to share it with you. So do you all remember, I guess it's been about 2 months, I did a giveaway one week, and I think it was, maybe it was leading up to a release that we were having with Godly Granny. And so I think it was like on a Monday, I had said that I wanted to do something for headache migraine remover, our package of stuff that we have. We've got the bath bombs and the soaps, and we just have and then we have headache migraine remover and cream, and we just have a number of products, bath bombs and all that stuff. So I had said I really wanted to do something specific, and I said, look, if you want something like that, I'm not just going to give it away to give it away. I really feel like it was impressed upon me that we really look at what's going on with you specifically. So many people wrote in. I'd said I wasn't going to give it away that day. I think it was a day or two. I think we gave it a few days. And so I gave away, I think it was 3 different packages. But what I didn't explain was that I went on ahead and printed all the submissions that really had a lot going on. And there were more than 3. And then I just sat down and looked at all of them, and I pray over it and make decisions with all that as I feel led by the Holy Spirit. And so, there were 3, I think it was 3 winners, 2 or 3. But then there were like 4 others that wasn't a recipient of it, but they were really bad. And so they were on my desk, didn't think much of it, wasn't really sure what to do with it because some of them were so bad. I just wasn't at peace with just throwing it away, throwing away the documents and stuff, the emails. And so I set them to the side, and I guess it had been a few weeks, and the Holy Spirit just kept bringing them to my mind. And I knew that they were on my desk, and it went on and on for a few days where it just was very strong. And so one Friday night, I started calling them because remember, when you submit something, you have to put your first name and your last name and your shipping address and your phone number. So I started calling people and saying, okay, so, what's the shipping address and what's going on, and making sure I really understood what was going on with the situation, and sent out some boxes for those people. I didn't say anything on the show. There's no need to, but I am now giving you some of the backstory. But I want you to know that this wasn't like, oh, I'm just sitting around thinking that, what can I do today for somebody? It was really something that was just very Holy Spirit prompted. Okay. And so I, made some calls, got on the phone, did the boxes. It was late on a Friday night, all that stuff takes time. And so I received an email over the weekend or Friday. I forget which one it was. It was over this weekend or maybe Friday. And it says, hi, Michelle, please accept our apology for this late thank you in regard to your generous gift to our son in love, and says the name. He was beyond grateful, let alone wowed by your kindness, caring for him and his severe headaches from a blast that he was involved in during his service in Iraq. This gentleman's name wasn't wanted by his mother, and his father has been in and out of prison over his life. And while he was overseas, took it upon himself. And she goes on to some personal things that happened that was horrible. She goes, his mother had little to nothing to do with him. She gave him to her father to raise a newborn infant and child. His step-grandmother was abusive, both physically and verbally. His grandfather traveled for his business, so his presence was very little. As he grew, he was bounced around in his family, and he was emancipated at 16. Hence, he grew. He enlisted into the U.S. Army immediately after graduation. This man, name, was never allowed to have toys or bikes or nothing. He would play with stones and hide sticks in his room as a young boy. We literally blow him away with our family and our family values. I'm sure that's the truth. He has been around now with us since 2013, has become a Christian and a strong believer in Christ, Jesus Christ. She went on to say he still holds his emotions and feelings inside, but our daughter said that he is in total shock when he was in total shock when he received your package and can't believe how or why you would want to help him. He really appreciates your kindness and wants you to know that you are the first person in his 38 years that's given him anything that he didn't have to work for or pay back. You awestruck him, we think. We could go on, but understand your time and just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all that you have done and given, not only for us, but for those with ears to hear. And so, okay, so that's wonderful, right? And so it was very nice. I wrote her back and I said, I said that your message blesses me for many reasons. I deeply appreciate you taking the time to send this to me. I may share a few of your parts of your note on Monday. I have a message that I'd like to share with my audience regarding this. And so I said, when you see or hear it, it'll make sense. Because I'm sure if she got my email and she sees it, she's like, what does that mean, a message? Anyways, and I went on to say that this was just right on time. So, okay. So the message, as I was reading her email, and I gasped and I read it and I was like, oh my goodness, this is just amazing. I had sat down and wrote him a note in there and everything. And so the thing about it is, it's like what I said at the beginning about how the Holy Spirit just kept prompting me. I'm like everybody else. We stay really busy. And so, but it just kept prompting me about those. And it went on for a few days before I got to it. And, obviously it was so strong. I went back out to the she shed to work on a Friday night late and called these people before it got too late and just was like, okay, we're going to get this done. I just feel such an urgency. And so he was one of the people. I spoke with his mother in love and found out that, some more details. And so I was able to determine what to send him. And then I wrote him a note with some instructions. And of course I knew that he would get the package and not know who I was, but it was a prompting from the Holy Spirit. And so it was just my obedience in being the hands and feet. You see what I'm going with this? And so the message here is when you get a thought, remember your thoughts can come from one of three places, right? We can have a thought, and I can tell you right now, I wasn't sitting around thinking about what I could do on a Friday night out in the she shed for work. And so while my family's in the house, and I'm in my pajamas and, going out with Flashmore out to the she shed in the dark. Okay, so we have our thoughts. We can come up with something. We can be the Holy Spirit, or it can be the enemy, right? And so it was just, I knew that I knew, and like I said, the Holy Spirit kept showing me that. But when sometimes this side of heaven, I say, you may never know what you've done for somebody or how you've made an impact in their lives. But what I want to encourage you is that when you have those promptings and you know that it's the Holy Spirit, like obedience is greater than sacrifice, his word says, his obedience is greater than sacrifice. He's looking for people to be his hands and feet. And so I don't know if the products have been used. I don't know how they have helped him. She didn't really say anything about that yet. And so I'm sure I'll probably be hearing from her again about it. And I look forward to that. I hope I do. But I just want you to know, like, What did she say? She said in the 38 years, this is the first things that he's ever received that he didn't have to buy or he didn't, have to pay back. He was just gifted. He was just given. Again, that's the Holy Spirit. That's God. God can move people, and God can use a girl in a she shed on a Friday night out with her dog in the she shed, calling his mother in love. He'll, probably has no clue who I am, but and he can use anybody. And I just want to encourage you that when you hear the Holy Spirit, be willing to let him use you. You never, never know how you may be the one that shines the light, and in that act of whatever you do, how it just reinforces their faith, or it can bring them to Jesus Christ. Do you see what I'm saying? You just never know. You just never know. So many people write me. Look at the letter. I just got this card last night when I opened the mail. Producer Ronnie gone and gotten mail, and so he brought it to my home late, and that's when I got, Donnie's beautiful journal. I got some donations for North Carolina, and then I got this, the thing about the Wave Watch, the testimonial. And what did this lady talk about? She says it's made a huge difference, not a little difference, but a huge difference in her life. And she says the major changes in my life are with the emotions, the self-worth, the facing feelings of being overwhelmed with all the things that I need to do. This is what I'm talking about. These are the kinds of things that are going on. And so there are so many of you that write to me and tell me how much you feel distracted or distraught, or you feel low about yourself or low self-esteem. I hear this all the time. And a lot of this I understand, and I'm compassionate, I empathize with, and I sympathize because I had been there, done that too. I used to have a very low self-esteem. I was a size 0 and thought I was fat. Okay. I mean, I look back at some of the things I thought about myself and go, man, the enemy was speeding the lines and I was buying them out, at the ticket line, hook, line, and sinker. And so I'm just telling you, there are so many people that are hurting. And it's not just finances. They're emotionally hurting. They're lost. They're a million different things. I mean, I can relate to this boy, her son-in-law. I can relate to him. My parents left me. And so many of you know my testimony. And so, I gasped as I read the email and said, oh my goodness. And here I was just thinking that, I was helping a man who was a veteran, who had injuries and severe injuries, and I'm just hoping and praying that our headache migraine remover and the niacinamide serum that is like a supercharger for the other products will, supercharge, and really help him. And, I'm just thinking that. I had no idea about his childhood and how I would relate to his story. But, maybe I would have never known that, but I still did it. I did it in that faithfulness. And so whether there is, we probably do, I don't know, maybe we hear back from about half. And sometimes we hear testimonials about how, and of course, our customers, you guys are amazing at writing reviews on godlygranny.com. Like that's a whole nother thing. But to get this and to hear all this, like I said, I gasped. It was just amazing. And I immediately was getting this download about this message about, there's a lesson in this. There's a lesson. And it's don't ignore the promptings, because to you it may seem so small or no big deal, or, oh yeah, I'll get to that or whatever. Like I said, it took a couple of days for me to get out there, but I came out because I just kept being reminded, and I knew it was important. I knew that God kept reminding me because it was important. And so when I got this email, it was like, oh, this all makes so much sense. It just makes so much sense on so many levels. And so I just want to encourage you. Don't ignore that prompting. Don't ignore it. Whether it's loving on someone, sending someone a gift, or just a note, you don't know what. I remember when Carson's accident happened, it's been almost 10 years now. And I remember thinking, I was dealing with complex PTSD. My son came as close to, dying as possible. For those of you that don't know, he had accidentally shot himself with a 12-gauge shotgun when he was 10 years old in our bedroom. He was in the hospital at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital for a month. He came home in horrific condition. He really needed to be in the hospital another couple of months. And that's a whole nother story. But to look at me, I looked normal. I looked fine. There was a really big lesson with this, but I was a mess. And so, you know, I had gone through so much trauma. They were literally putting my social media posts on the 10 o'clock news and the 6 o'clock news here locally, because I was doing a radio show, and gun stuff was involved. And there was a lot of, you know, Second Amendment stuff going on and with Trump. And at the time, I mean, it couldn't have probably been worse timing nationally for a gun accident. And so, but what I want to share with you is that I looked fine. To go to the grocery store or whatever, you would never know that I was hurting inside and out tremendously, more than I could ever have imagined. And so we can't always look at somebody and know what's really going on with them. And so maybe it doesn't make sense on the surface. Maybe it's somebody that you know and you think, well, they're doing fine. God, why would you want me? But you don't know. There could be something else. And so just be obedient. Love people where they're at. Love on them. And just, you know, don't ignore the Holy Spirit. Don't ignore that nudging. And so I just want to encourage you today. God is looking for somebody that will just be obedient, will be his hands and feet. And we can trust him. I always say, just like with the show, I don't really worry about the numbers. And I've told you all that. I don't really look at all that stuff. And the reason is because, and I don't get upset about the censoring and all that stuff. It can be a little frustrating, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't really even think much about it. And the reason is because I'm trusting God for the results. If I'm going to do what God's called me to do, and I'm going to do it his way, and I'm going to trust him for the results. Otherwise, I mean, I'm just going to frustrate myself focusing on a bunch of crazy stuff. But the right people, I don't care if there are 50,000 viewers. If they're not my people, what does it matter that 50,000 people tuned in? It's going to be fruitless. And so I would much rather have 10,000 that are my people, that are God's people, that are the remnant, the ecclesia. I would much rather have that every day, all day long, every day of the week. And so I hope that you hear me, and I hope that you think about this, and that it encourages you the next time that you have that prompting to just follow through and be God's hands and feet and be obedient to what God's leading you to. All right, I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you right here next time on The Michelle Moore Show.
There aren't a lot of reasons to use Godly Granny products. There's every reason, because every time you twist or flip a cap on something from Godly Granny, you're voting no to chemicals and yes to common sense, but without all the electronic voting machines. With Godly Granny, there's no toxins, no chemicals, no endocrine disruptors, no cancer-chasing filler. Godly Granny is a small batch, made to order, deeply naturopathic wellness brand. Founded on biblical truth, formulated with pure purpose, and handcrafted by saved folks who know that freedom doesn't come from fake lavender and phthalates. Go to godlygranny.com today. Be sure and use the
Trying to get healthier is full of can'ts.
Come on, Grandma, come play. Come play with us, Grandma.
I can't move. So you go to the doctor.
Your body can't figure this out. So take this, and this.
Because your body can't. But is it true your body can't? Maybe your body can. All you need is a little support. Wave Watch is a wearable device that uses sound wave therapy to help your body heal itself. Studies are showing that all cells in our bodies resonate at unique frequencies, and specific sounds can stimulate them. Your body can deal with pain, so you can play hard.
WaveWatch comes with a 1-year manufacturer's warranty for defects and flaws, and you can upgrade to an additional warranty for water damage and breakage. Go to wavewatch.com. Be sure to use the discount code Michelle100 at checkout to receive $100 savings on your purchase.
Hi friends, it's Michelle Moore. And when it comes to protecting your retirement, I believe in taking smart, steady steps. Bank of America analysts call gold the ultimate safe haven, and when it comes to precious metals, I trust Universal Coin and Bullion, the official rare coin and bullion dealer of my show. They have been named the best in their industry both nationally and regionally by leading organizations. Consider a gold IRA, a time-tested way to diversify your portfolio with real tangible assets, which lets you move a portion of your retirement savings into physical gold, helping protect your wealth from inflation, market swings, and economic uncertainty. And Universal Coin and Bullion makes the process easy. From rollovers to delivery, they walk you through every step, even if you have one with another gold company. Protect what you've worked so hard to build from the team that I trust, Universal Coin and Bullion, at 800-321-8700, and make sure to tell them Michelle sent you.
There aren't a lot of reasons to use Godly Granny products. There's every reason, because every time you twist or flip a cap on something from Godly Granny, you're voting no to chemicals and yes to common sense, but without all the electronic voting machines. With Godly Granny, there's no toxins, no chemicals, no endocrine disruptors, no cancer-chasing filler. Godly Granny is a small batch, made-to-order, deeply naturopathic wellness brand. Founded on biblical truth, formulated with pure purpose, and handcrafted by saved folks who know that freedom doesn't come from fake lavender and phthalates. Go to godlygranny.com today. Be sure and use the discount code Michelle10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
Did you know your cell phone emits radiation that has been linked to increased risk of certain types of cancers? This is why manufacturers include hidden warnings to keep your phone away from your body. And what's worse is that children are more susceptible to the potentially damaging effects. Safe Sleep for cell phones is a case specifically designed to block radiation. Its shielding technology integrated into the case has been tested in a third-party FCC-accredited lab to block over 99% of RF and 92% of ELF radiation emitted by your phone. It also functions as a stand for watching videos and comes in a magnetically detachable style for some devices. Safe Sleeve also offers anti-radiation cases for tablets and laptops and has free shipping in the U.S. plus discounted worldwide shipping is available. Go to truthtalkamerica.com today and click on the Safe Sleep banner on the home page. Use the discount code FIRST10 at checkout for 10% off your first order.
For Michelle's social media links, go to michellemooreshow.com.